he then said, well, at least your twin brother is straight. And I already knew you were not.
We're going to continue learning new things about ourselves because can you imagine if we didn't? We'd just be so boring.
Right. Yeah.
As soon as I took like my first dose of estrogen, I never looked back, and I never felt any sort of anything other than pride and empowerment.
You're allowed to be able to be whoever you want to be, but you have to make sure that it feels good to you.
I think the biggest reason why I waited until I was 23 to come out is because I was just terrified of the people I was going to lose.
Zia Varajon is a Chicago-based trans performer and the author of Love Your Trans Big Sister, Advice on the Trans Feminine Journey. Pedro Guerrero is a Lima, Peru-born, Chicago, Illinois-based creative who builds spaces where people feel seen, celebrated, and connected through art, culture, and collective joy. Paige is an autistic and genderqueer artist, hairstylist, and intuitive tarot reader. Welcome to Twin Spin with your co-host, the Nuno Twins. This is the show where fascinating people, real conversations, and a whole lot of laughs all end up in the same place, all with a twist of twin.
All right. Well, welcome everybody to a very special episode of Twin Spin. I'm Andrew.
I'm Adrian.
And we are surrounded by three wonderful, amazing people who have graciously volunteered to come on to this episode, share their story, share the lessons from it. So we'll introduce these folks and then get right into sharing each of our stories and the lessons that we learned along the way. So to my left here, I have Zia. Thank you so much for coming on. We are so happy to have you.
Happy to be here.
Yeah. And then we have Pedro over here to my far left. So excited to have you here, Pedro. And then to our right, we have Paige. Thanks again to all of y'all for being here. We're so excited to hear about your stories. But first, we're going to kind of dive into our story, Adrian and myself coming out, the long road to coming out, and what we learned from it. And so I remember, Adrian, well, you came out first before
Yes,
me.
I did. Yes.
You came out at 18.
18 years old. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So why don't you share a little bit about what that was like for you?
Yeah.
Kind of before I joined you 5 years later.
I mean, to kind of give the Spark Notes version, I was kind of knew from a young age that I identified more towards that, towards being queer. But I grew up Catholic. We grew up Catholic. And so I think from a young age, the denial began of that cannot be the way that it is. And we were altar servers. We went to, religious education. We were confirmed. We did all that stuff. And even after all of that, the fact that, I couldn't let this go was still very much present. And I remember specifically when I was 18, when I think you were away at college for
my one semester away at school in
before
Indiana. Yeah.
You came back. I remember our dad came into our room that we had at the time, and he was part of a church men's group. And the topic that night was sexuality.
Oh, God.
Was
it the Knights of Columbus?
It
actually was. Yes.
You clocked that so fast.
Baby, listen,
you get it.
If the Catholics know how to do something, it's good music and the outfits.
Yes.
Very true.
Where's the line,
Queer-coded.
That I will give
Really?
you credit.
Yeah, it does sound very gay.
Yeah.
So much gold, so much
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah. Not where I thought this was going to go, but I love it. I love it.
I live for it.
But I remember our dad came into our room and he was just like, Mijo, I just have a question for you. And he was like, I haven't seen you date any girls in high school or even in your time at community college so far. Just curious, are you into guys? And I thought about lying for a moment, but I'm just like, we've gone this far. I told my mom already at this point, and she gave such a great reaction of just hugging me, crying, and saying God made you who you are. He doesn't make any mistakes. And then with my dad, I could tell this is going to be a different reaction. And so I was like, okay, I'm just going to come out with it. And I said, yes, I am into guys. And then I remember he was just like, I love you, mijo, but that's disgusting. And then he went and watched Telemundo for a few hours.
As you do.
Yes. Yes. As one does.
Yeah.
And then he came back a few hours later and apologized and said, I'm just concerned for how people are going to treat you. when they see you walking down the street holding a guy's hand. And I'm like, lead with that first next time. Because now I kind of see where you're coming from. And we had a bit of a heart to heart. And after all of that, he then said, well, at least your twin brother is straight. And I already knew you were not.
The funny person, I'd already come out to you at that point.
Yep.
So you knew, and you were like, "Oh, this is gonna age so well."
Yeah. And I remember I was just like, I'm just gonna let you live your fantasy a little bit longer. Like that's his story to tell you, and it was hard enough having to do this with you tonight. I'm all tapped out for the evening, and that brings us now to you.
Yeah. So fast forward 5 years, and I told myself, I'm going to come out when I don't need his insurance anymore. When I can just when I can just I can just be my own person. And if he were to cut me off, I'll be fine. It's okay.
Leave the
and
nest,
so I remember he lived in Texas at the time. So I had to call him because we were about to post on Facebook like, hey, let's get one thing straight. I'm not, you know?
Was that like a few days before we did that?
It was 2 days before.
Yeah.
Yes. And I was like, he really shouldn't find out from Facebook about this.
Yeah.
I was like, I should call him up. And so like we're like shooting the shit for like 30 minutes. And I'm like, I should just get to it. I was like, this is not going to get any easier if I just beat around the bush. And I was like, hey, Dad, like, so you know how Adrian's into guys? And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, I am too. And I heard nothing for like 30 seconds. I thought he had passed out, honestly. I thought he had just completely passed out. And I was like, Papa?
It did cross my mind at first.
Yeah. And he's like, you know, like I'm so disappointed. And he was like begging me to like give women another chance. I'm like, Dad, I'm pansexual. I'm not saying that women aren't, like, I'm just saying that guys are too. He said, well, just date a woman. I'm like, I have a boyfriend right now. I don't think he would like that. Like, I was like, I don't think that's going to happen. No. And for like 6 months, we really just didn't talk about dating all that much with him.
No.
And ironically, COVID is what kind of made us confront the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And I remember we kind of gave him an ultimatum.
Well, yeah, because I remember like he came back to like pick us up to go back to Texas during quarantine. And at that point, like there was just so much weight on my shoulders of like pretending like everything is okay between us when I just knew like I can't keep pretending. And I broke down and I cried. And I said, I'm just tired of doing this. I can't keep doing this forever. Yeah. And like you said, we gave him the ultimatum of like, this is who we are. If you can't accept that, there's the door. Yeah.
And what was strange is that like even our like religious relatives were supportive of us coming out.
That surprised me.
I was really shocked by that.
Yeah.
I was like, where are the Bible verses? Where's the homophobia? Like I was so shocked by that.
Eternal damnation.
The eternal damnation. Like,
and I remember the day we posted the Facebook post. It was October 3rd, 2019, which also happens to be Mean Girls Day. That was total coincidence.
On October 3rd, he asked me what day it was.
We did not plan that. It just happened to be that day. And we were at like a stir-fry restaurant downtown, meeting up with a friend, made the post, posted it.
We turned off our phones. We turned off our phones and we couldn't take it back. I was like, okay, it's out there.
Had the dinner.
Let's have some stir-fry and we'll just see what happens.
Seeing all the reactions of like friends, family, people who were apologizing for saying like, we're so sorry we couldn't make you be your authentic self. I'm like, this is different than what I was anticipating.
Yeah. And I mean, even with our dad, like the story has a happy ending. Like after we gave him the ultimatum, he said, I have things to unlearn, but that is my cross to bear, not yours.
Period.
Responsibility.
Yeah. And he's come a long way. He's gone to a pride parade. Like he's met partners of ours. He's even been inside a gay bar. Like since then. Well, it was unintentional, granted, but you know,
that was
like, still, we love, you know, a 180 as far as just where that journey has been. And so, yeah, now I feel like our bond with him is stronger than ever.
Seriously.
And I feel as far as like the big two lessons that we took away from our coming out, I'll say one and then you got the other. But for me, it's really embracing that whoever's going to love me for the real me is whoever's going to love me for the real me. So I think the biggest reason why I waited until I was 23 to come out is because I was just terrified of the people I was going to lose as a result of my coming out. Like I had a cousin who I was super close with, but she was super religious. And her religion said that we were going to hell and that we were living a lifestyle that was not modest and sinful. And I knew, you know, what my dad's
said
reaction
that to you.
Well, she never said that, but like the teachings of her church, literally like
Right.
it said that who we were was evil, you know?
Yeah.
And so I was terrified that by coming out and living life as my authentic self, that I was going to lose all these people and I was going to be at odds with family, and even people in my life who were a bit more religious. But, you know, as Adrian shared, like the ironic thing is that when we did come out, those people actually gave us a lot of love, which I know is not usually the case and it's not everyone's experience, but it really taught me that A, should have come out earlier, and B, like when you take the risk and you take the bet on yourself and living life as your authentic self, you'd be surprised with the love that you can receive, even if you're expecting just hates and judgments. The love that you welcome into your life at that point, that's not only, you know, real love coming from people, but it's love coming from for who you are as your real authentic self. And that sort of love is the best kind of love that you can receive, especially being someone in the queer community.
Yeah. Yeah. Love all of that. And then for me, I guess the lesson that I have to share is, I mean, it's okay if you transform over time in terms of how you identify, because I remember when I first came out to my dad, I said that I identified as bisexual. And I did it for a few reasons. Number one, I thought by saying that it would lessen the blow to my dad. Because if I said if I was gay, I think he would have had a heart attack right then and there. No, seriously. Seriously.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of hyperbole, but also not really.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
With a little truth in joke.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I wanted him to
Exactly.
think maybe there's a chance he might still be with a woman, but instead in my heart of hearts, I was like, oh, honey, no, it's not going to happen. But I was like, we'll cross that road when we get there. But also, too, I felt like I lived at home my entire life at that point. I never really got to be in an environment where I got to really learn more about myself and how I truly identified. So coming to Chicago and living, you know, with Andrew for a period of time as roommates, but especially in these past 2 years where I lived on my own, I got to really learn more about how I truly am, how I truly identify. And I feel like COVID especially really like fast forwarded that for me.
Yeah.
To the point where I'm like, no, I'm just gay. I'm just gay. And with time, I think my dad also came to realize that for himself. And I think even you knew, like, oh, honey, no, you're not bisexual.
Well, I didn't want to pressure you.
But I knew that you knew that, like,
yes. But, you know, it was like, you're on your own journey. I'm not here to, like, push you
And I appreciated
ahead
that.
in that. Like,
Yeah.
your journey is on your own time, and
Yeah.
I'm not here to, like, interfere with that.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like, you know, there's so many, especially in culture today, there's like a lot of biphobia still around,
gosh,
like,
yes.
you know, you're just confused, you're, you know, whatever the case may be.
Even within queer folks, like
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
I find like really dislike pansexuality, bisexuality. They're like, please pick a side so that we can claim you.
Yeah.
Literally.
Sometimes, you know?
Literally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you're an Infinity Stone or something.
Yeah.
Literally, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've really come to realize that these past several years is that, like, at the end of the day, we're all on our own journey trying to find out more about who we truly are. And even that changes all the time, the more you get to uncover more parts of yourself. And so whoever you are right now, you know, welcome that, embrace that. And if you identify something else later, that's okay too.
Yeah,
you
keep
know,
learning about
keep
it.
learning
Yeah.
about yourself.
I mean, I
Yeah.
feel like life is just this big continuous journey of self-discovery.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
Like who you are right now at this point is not going to be who you are 20, 30, 40 years from now. Like it's you're just constantly finding things out about yourself. And that's such a beautiful thing in my opinion.
For sure.
Yeah, and I think seeing a lot of other stories of folks who identified as one thing and then later as something else give myself a lot of confidence to do the same thing, to the point where I feel like now, as I'm on the cusp of turning 30 years old, yes, thank you.
Well, by the time this episode airs, you will be 30.
Yeah.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you.
Hey, I'm as old as you are, man.
Like
Right,
he's
you're
literally in
only
the same
32.
boat.
Nonetheless, to be at this point now in my life and to really feel like I'm taking a deep breath of relief, a deep sigh of relief as I'm really starting to embrace who I am truly, now that I've gone through so much uncovering and learning and just really embracing who this person is, that I feel like for a lot for a long time, I had to really hide behind a mask, you know, and couldn't really let that show until now. And so, yeah, that's my big lesson that I want to share, and that I'm really excited for this new decade ahead of me, and that I get to embrace who this person truly is more.
I love that.
Oh, thank you.
30s are going to be great.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
30s are great. Thank God that, like, you know, it seems like we're all of the same mindset, that like we're going to continue growing. We're going to continue learning new things about ourselves, because can you imagine if we didn't, we'd just be so boring.
Right. Yeah.
It's just so boring to like know exactly what like the person across from you is going to do at all times. It's just like, okay, you're a book.
Yeah.
And
like,
stagnancy is so challenging. I feel like it it keeps you away from like truly living, to stay
Literally.
stagnant, like to learn and to grow as a person, whether it be about yourself or those around you, but to be open and accepting to what people are and how people want to live can teach you so much about yourself and how you want to put yourself into the world.
Plus,
Absolutely.
the world is just changing at
All
such
the
a rapid
time.
pace. Like,
Yeah.
we're not going to be able to keep up with it, but we're at least able to, like, you know, save face a little bit and, like,
Right.
you know, stay somewhat up to pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly right. All right. Well, that was us.
Yes.
The shortened version of our whole coming out journey. Now we're gonna pass it over to Pedro.
Hi. Yes.
Yes.
So, I actually knew that I was gay. I remember the exact moment. I was in preschool in Miami, Florida. I might have been like around 4 years old. We're watching Space Jam, as one does in the early 90s.
Yes.
And I remember like looking over to someone and like being like, you know what? I'm gonna like guys. Like, I just remembered like just like the dialogue being so clear. But I actually didn't come out to myself until I was 26. So much later in life. And I did it in probably the best place to come out, in rural Missouri. And yeah, I was working for the Missouri legislature.
Oh.
Wow.
And yeah, it was just such a weird but very formative time in my life, where I was just so tired of basically like torturing myself mentally, being like, no, like, yes, I'm attracted to guys, but like, that's not the path for me. Like, it can't be the path for me. And I am, well, my mom is the daughter of a Peruvian general. And my
snap.
dad was a doctor affiliated with the Peruvian Air Force and the police. And so like they both came from super hyper masculine backgrounds. My dad was also a soccer player. And yeah, that just like wasn't the life that they had imagined for me. You know, we're immigrants to the United States. They didn't imagine their son would ever like divert from the path that they moved to the United States to pursue, you know? But here I am diverting left and right, and even now. And so that was the first step for me. It was just like accepting that like that was who I was. Which in the back of my mind is very funny, because like I was a high school theater kid. Like I was, you know, like
Somebody knew.
everything was there. Everything was there. But like, no, I was the straight one, you know, like no. Yeah, I think that was the biggest step for me. That my family was actually the last people to find out that I was gay. Yeah, they were the last people that I came out to, mostly just because I was so scared. I think that was one piece of it. And yeah, I laughed when you mentioned that thing about your dad having a heart attack, because my father had just had a heart attack. So yes, like he had a heart attack, and then 2 weeks later I came out to them. Just because like I went through a pretty significant heartbreak of my own. And I was just like, you know what? I'm tired of holding all of this shit into like my family, the people that I should be able to like share this with. So that was my like impetus of, you know, telling them that I was gay. And I remember I called them in the morning and I was like, listen, I need to talk to you at 7:10 p.m. because that was when my workout was ending. Like I was going to go to work, and you know, I just like needed to have that day to myself, and I needed to have control over what was going on. And so, and of course, when I call my parents in the morning, my mom was like, "Will you just please tell us now? We can't wait. Like, what's going on? What's going on in your life?" And I'm just like, "I'm fine. I'm calling you guys at 7:10. Deal with it." You know,
That's all you said.
That's all I said. Yes. And so in my mind, I'm just like, they just like turned on the clock, the countdown clock, you know. Very Barney style from
100%.
from How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, very, very.
And so yeah, I called them and I told them like I've just been through an incredible heartbreak. And they're like, "Oh, mijo, like I'm so sorry to hear that. You know, things like that happen sometimes. Like, what's her name?" You know? And I was like, "Well, his name is blank, you know, like." And then it was just silent. And I was just like, well, if there's ever a time for a monologue, it's now. Just like while I was waiting for them to fill the silence. And I said, like, you know, I've been keeping this in for a very long time. And, you know, I'm not seeing this as much as a coming out to you all. I'm letting you into my life.
Right.
And so this is a big piece of me that I've been keeping from you, and frankly, one that's just so integral to my being, just as it is being your son, being Peruvian, you know, all of this. So this is one of the biggest pieces of my life that, you know, it's taken a long time for not just me to accept, but for me to bring to you. And then my parents were I think they were on separate phones, but they were in the same household. And then in the middle of the conversation, my mom is just like, I need to go check on your dad. He's looking very pale. It's clear that his blood pressure has dropped. So it had to be there was an intermission. So he's like, yeah, my mom was like, I have to go check your dad's blood pressure. Like, we'll call you back. And I'm just like, awesome. Can't wait. You know, very theater kid of me to have an intermission for something as integral to this. But, you know, that was over the phone. And I told them 2 weeks before Thanksgiving, I was going to be home for Thanksgiving.
Wow.
And my mom took it very well on the phone, but it was clear that in the 2-week time period between I was going to come home, there was something that was like curdling and, you know, souring within her about the whole thing. And so I go home from Thanksgiving. My dad picks me up. My dad's the one that had just had a heart attack. And so he's very weak and is just tired all the time. And my mom didn't come to get me from the train.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, interesting. And so normally, you know, I've come home hundreds of times now, you know, I've taken the Amtrak, and no matter what the hour, both of them are there picking me up. And if both of them aren't there, it's because one of them is at home cooking me a big meal, no matter the time. And so we get home and my dad is like, oh yeah, your mom's asleep. And so you know, that was a tough day or two for me. Just because it's my mom, you know, like I am my mother's son, in that we're both toxic as fuck sometimes. But we also love so deeply. And, you know, I just wasn't on the receiving end of her love at that moment. It was clear that she had a lot to process, but it was clear that she had a lot of emotions about it, and it was making her angry inside. So much so that she didn't want anything to do with me for those 2 days. And so I remember one day, it was during this Thanksgiving trip, I come home and my poor dad is just like, he has his head on the kitchen counter like this, like is just so tired. And I don't know why. I knew why I said this. But I go up to him and I was just like, you know what, Dad? Like, it feels like coming home for Thanksgiving wasn't the right move. You know, I'm really disappointed just to see how Mom has been throughout this time. And, you know, I would have been better off staying in Chicago. But I said it because it was like a bomb that I tossed and then walked away from, because I wanted to see what was I hadn't really had a chance to express that to my mom. She wasn't present in that moment for me to express that to her. So I dropped the bomb and I walked away, and I hear my mom come into the kitchen and my dad telling her like, oh, Pedro just told me that he doesn't think that it was wise for him to come home based on how you're treating him.
Wow.
And I could tell that that was a really big, like, that was what she needed to hear. And so I'm just like waiting in the basement cove, just like on the couch, quite like this, waiting for her to come down. And I hear her coming down, and she comes and sits next to me. And, you know, she apologized, which like for a Latina mom, Like
Mm-hmm.
what?
Yep.
Like
Yeah, we get it. We
the
get
world
it.
had shifted at that point.
a lot,
She said,
yeah.
I'm so sorry that like I haven't been the mom that you needed for me during this time. Like I wasn't there to support you through a significant heartbreak for you, and that's on me, you know? And like we both just like sat on the couch and like cried a little bit, and then our like familial reconciliation, we sat and watched Coco together, like which was just like
man.
I know, which we had
yeah.
watched before, you know, we saw
yeah.
it in theaters, but like that movie and that moment just means like so much to me, just because not just myself but my parents were being everything that I needed for little me. And it was just like such a renewing experience just to like sit there like watching a kid's movie, you know, just like reviving that spirit that wasn't present for the 26 years of my life.
Yeah.
So that was my parents. My sister was actually the last person that I came out to.
Okay.
My sister came out when she was 16 as a lesbian in high school. And she was like full on militant lesbian. Like you would ask her like, oh, how was your day? And she'd be like, are you asking me that because I'm a lesbian? Like, you know, basically like I'm obviously dramatizing, but like everything at that point was just like, you know, her little militant self. And she did not have a positive coming out experience. I mean, neither of us did. But she, you know, she carried that experience through with her our parents. And I didn't want her to be like vengeful against me. I didn't want to tell her before I told my parents because something would go sour. I felt that something was going to go sour, and that just to take things out on me and to get revenge, like she would be like, well, did you know that your son was gay, sort of thing. And so I wanted her to be the last to know. So, you know, that was just more out of self-preservation.
Yeah.
But I think my lessons, you know, despite the pain and despite everything that came with the coming out, I think one, I love science, even though I'm terrible at it. 85% of the things that we worry about aren't going to happen. I think that is, you know, one of the biggest takeaways, just because like, yes, there was a lot of pain and a little bit of suffering that came with my coming out, but it could have been so much worse. And at the end of the day, it was just an opportunity to fortify myself and my family by showing pieces of myself that I had been too afraid to. And then I think the second lesson that I learned is it really does take a village. You know, being an immigrant in the United States, I didn't grow up around family, basically, extended family. Primos, primas, abuelos, abuelas,
Yeah.
tíos, tías.
Yeah.
They weren't there for, proximity. They couldn't be there.
Yeah.
And so I've had to really rely on my friends and their family to be my family. And I'm so fortunate that, you know, that I was able to, just because it shows a few things. It shows how fortuitous I am as an individual to be able to transcend the absence of my family and, you know, their influence and how it formed me. But I was still able to apply it even from afar.
Yeah.
But I was basically able to create something out of nothing. As I created a life for myself, as my family created lives for ourselves here in the United States. So I'm just very grateful to the families and to my friends that were there for me in the same way that my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, grandparents couldn't be. So, yeah.
Wow.
Beautiful.
Wow.
I love that.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I mean, it's funny because like Coco is like one of my favorite movies of all time.
It's just such a good
And
movie.
it's like this didn't even happen to me, you know. This happened to you, but I feel like you've like redefined that movie for me.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm gonna carry this now. Like next time I see Coco.
Yep. In addition to what I
honestly.
already carry with that movie,
Yeah.
because when we first saw that film, I think it was like not too long after Mama Celia passed, right?
Oh my God, your Mama Celia. I love hearing about her.
Yeah. And I think it was, around like a second or third viewing of seeing that movie. I think it came out 2017, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think she had passed yet,
Yes.
but she bared a strong resemblance. to
Stop.
Mama Celia.
Yeah,
Really?
Mama
Oh,
Coco.
really? Yeah.
Oh my
Yep.
God.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh no, seriously.
Yeah.
And then I think after she had passed, I saw the film again, and during a certain scene in the climax of the movie, I swear I could feel her presence in the room, which led to me crying uncontrollably for 40 minutes afterwards. But it was a beautiful moment at the same time, as heartbreaking as that was. But now to also have this story that I hear, adds even more significance to that movie. So
I also, just to add, but I know your Mama Celia had a real coming around queerness herself with her own son.
She did.
I don't know if that's something you guys want to share.
No,
I
so,
figure that kind of ties in as well.
Yeah. So actually, before she passed, actually one of her uncles came out at I think 57,
something like that. Yeah.
He had married. He had 2 kids. They divorced, and then he had a coming out later in life that she wasn't the most receptive to at first, but it was through it happening to her own son that she sort of had a reckoning with, very similar to our dad, the lesson that she had been taught growing up. And I think it's one thing for it to like happen to people that but it's a whole other thing when it happens to your own children,
For sure.
and so yeah, that actually is something that hit home for her,
For sure.
as it did for our dad. And if it's okay for me to ask, like how is it with your parents now since that
so
moment?
fortunate that we went through a period where we didn't like each other, but we love each other. I think that was. But I'm happy to say that we like each other again, and they like me, and I like them. But behind that liking, there's so much. There's always been so much love, but it's been really incredible to see just how it's grown, and pieces of myself that I never dreamed of sharing with them. They appreciate, they value.
Yeah.
And if I may also ask Pedro, like since coming out at 26, like has it been kind of like a similar journey for you and like embracing more of your queer identity, or have you kind of always been embracing that and like this was like one of the last things?
I had started really embracing my queer identity when I moved back to Chicago in 2018. Like, you know me, Adrian. Like, I'm never one to like half-ass anything.
Nope.
I jumped in head first to being just like the gayest person that I could possibly be, which is what I needed for myself, quite frankly. I moved back to Chicago in 2018. By 2019, I was on my gay kickball team, living my best life at Roscoe's every Sunday. But like that part was also super integral to my formation as a gay person, as well as working at a gay bar later. Just because you are so exposed to so many different types of gay people. And like while you're figuring out the type of person you want to be, you're also figuring out the type of person you don't want to be based on what you encounter. And so that was really, big for me. And so, there's a lot of different ways to express your queerness, but one that I found that has been the most healing for me has been on the dance floor. Like there's just like such a sense of release that comes with, expression through movement. And, living the big American dream that I am now, I've since become a DJ, and now I get to share that with other people and get to encourage and inspire movement, which is its own form of somatic therapy, which I think is super important.
100%.
And that's just the gay dance floor is just like such a special place for me, and it has been for so many other people. Like it's such a wonderful way to connect, not just with yourself, but with different members of your community.
I think that's one of the many things that I love about you is just how much you are about building community. Not just for the queer community, but also for your fellow Latina community. Because
it's something that I've needed for myself at certain points in my life, and it breaks my heart knowing that people don't have that. And so what a gift it is for me to be able to bring that to other people and to help people find their people. It's something that I don't take lightly. Like it's very serious for me. But it's also just like so fun. There's a lot of joy.
100%.
Yeah, and I think especially in these times that we find ourselves living in, you got to find the joy where you can.
Just read my mind.
Like,
Yeah.
the way we looked at it, I was like, yep, yeah,
Yeah.
we understand
It's
exactly
so
what the other one's
important
thinking.
now, queer joy.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Queer
It is
joy,
now,
but like
now
it's
more than
just
ever.
such a form of resilience,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
to like be in the face of so much hate, especially by, you know, federal policy and
Right.
people that are supposed to represent us as
Yeah.
a country. Like, you know, what's the saying? Like, there is no hate like Christian love. You know?
Yes.
And that's very much what's being exercised right now in our government. And just to be not even being able to wake up and put a smile on, you know, but like to be inspired to smile. And to find happiness in the rubble of what is our society currently.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best ways to like put a middle finger up to everything that's going on.
I have to add your quote that you just shared about hate reminded me when we were at Mass one time at church, and the Pride Parade had just happened in Chicago. And the priest was talking about how much it was disgusting and all this, you know, hateful,
Immoral.
terminology.
While wearing like hand embroidered,
Wearing a dress.
gorgeous,
Literally wearing a dress.
And I remember
The
the
and
whole
a crown.
and the crown.
his
Hiding
head.
Yes.
glitter under his.
Exactly. Yes.
And I remember like the whole congregation had like gotten up and given him a standing ovation.
Wow.
And it was when I knew all the more about my queer identity at the time, as I'm sure you had as well.
I do not remember the standing ovation. I think I
Oh, I
repressed
do.
that. I think I
I was hoping
repressed
you were
that,
going to
honestly.
say, and everyone stood up and walked out the door, but
Yeah.
Well, I think that was one of the last times where I was like, I'm never going to step foot inside a Catholic church
Right.
again after that, because
Right.
I was just
Yeah.
like, oh, I really don't feel good anymore.
Yeah.
And you know what's crazy is that the literal meaning of the word Catholic is universal. Like the Catholic Church is technically supposed to be the universal church. And when you think of universality excluding people based on who they love, not cute.
No.
Not a
No.
part of it, you know? Like
No.
it's just mind-boggling to me that you're going to affiliate yourself with a church that's supposed to pride itself on opening its doors to everyone
and on God's love.
and on God's
Yeah.
love.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the craziest one.
The
for me.
irony.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
if he created everything, he loves everything. So
Literally.
what are we
Yeah.
doing?
No
trying to like
mistake.
decide,
Exactly.
right?
Then
What are
I
we
am not a
doing?
mistake.
Trying to decide what he has to say.
And even in the Bible, like Jesus hung out with everyone, prostitutes, gay people, drunk.
You've heard
like-
my spiel on it.
Oh,
Like,
oh,
he
yeah.
spent
Yeah.
40 days in the desert with 12 men all by himself with no food, no water.
Exactly.
What the hell do you think they were doing out there?
He was
Just
it-
saying.
Yes.
Yeah. And also, I have heard that Mary Magdalene has been proven that maybe she was not a prostitute or maybe was not. But even if she was, that was Jesus's best friend.
Literally.
So like, and also
Yeah.
sex work is work, but like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
truly,
Honestly.
truly,
Yeah.
his best friend and like one of his closest people, all of his disciples were like, I don't know. I'm so with you on that.
And,
There's
and
so
gay
much
people
about
hang
it.
out in the desert all the time. It's called Coachella.
Yeah. I know what's happening out at Burning Man.
Yes, Burning Man, all those,
Exactly.
all
Oh,
those
yeah.
things. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
Pope Leo, if you're watching this, we're in Chicago. We're always available for a quick trip to the Vatican if you want to chat.
For sure.
Yes.
I'd love to see the robes.
Love to see the
Pope.
robe. Love to see the golden embroidery.
Yes. Yes.
The chiaroscuro of it all. Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah. We love it. We love it. All right. Well, now we are going to pass it over to Zia for you to share your story.
Awesome. I feel like there are a lot of common denominators for everyone's coming out story or just like queer awakening. As a trans woman, I actually came out on more than one occasion. I initially came out as gay when I was 18, the summer before my true freshman year of college. I had some very good lesbian friends who had taken me under their wing and showed me, the one gay club in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
And, the carousel too. And
It was called the Carousel?
It was two. I don't know what
Carousel
happened to the
two.
first one, but I don't think we want to know.
Yeah.
but they were such pillars for me as a young queer person. And it wasn't until I moved to Chicago and I was working in nightlife and I started doing drag that I started meeting other people of different backgrounds and identities. And I would have conversations with them and I'm like, well, if they can do it, I can do it too, right? And so it just kind of kickstarted this like retrospective of my life that, you know, on my way home from, I actually worked at Roscoe's when I came out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was there for, I think like 2 years pre-pandemic, but
Okay.
my first year of transition, I started while I was working there, and then the pandemic happened, which was a blessing in disguise for just figuring out a lot of how I wanted to present, how I wanted to, you know, exhibit my own womanhood. And I got to explore that a lot during that time, which was great. As far as my support, I was able to really create a solid chosen family. My upbringing was in rural East Tennessee. So we were United Methodist. I was an acolyte. I was in the church. Like being in the church was like, that's what you did.
Right.
Yep.
In our
Right.
town, like that was everything social, everything.
Multiple times a
Period.
week.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think I was at church at least 3 times a week.
Where did they fall
Yep.
on the schism of like the Methodists? Because there was like recently there was a big schism, wasn't there?
Right. Now I think they're a lot more open-minded. When I was growing up, they were not so much. And then, of course, part of my family is also like Southern Baptist, which is even more so not super duper nice.
Yeah.
I actually got tricked into going to a service one time at my cousin's Baptist church in the middle of nowhere, with my cousin who was one of the lesbians I mentioned. And we go, and it was put under the guise of, okay, my cousin's children, little bitty, are going to be singing in a choir and it's going to be really cute. And you get to see that. I was like, that's so sweet. Thank you for including me. Well, it turns out that the sermon that day was about, you know, how much of an abomination, you know, the queer community is, and just, you know, hell and brimstone the entire time. And I looked at my cousin, the horrible one, and we just were so shaken,
Right.
because we're like, we are in this sea of all of these people that do not want anything to do with us.
So were you invited there to like be saved? Is that what the like?
It felt that way.
I don't know if I was there to be saved, but I think I was brought there to hear the message.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like that could have been an email.
literally. Like I think it's like
Literally.
Yeah.
get on Reddit. You can find plenty of
Right.
Yeah.
Literally.
like that.
Exactly.
Literally. Yeah.
But yeah,
Wow.
I came out as trans in July of 2019, and as soon as I took like my first dose of estrogen, I never looked back, and I never felt any sort of anything other than pride and empowerment. In my book, Love Your Trans Big Sister, I actually write about my coming out a little bit more, but I'd like to read just like a little bit, if that's okay.
Yeah.
absolutely.
No, absolutely.
All right.
Okay, book plug. I love it. And you can learn more in my book.
Yes, I'll plug that later.
We'll have time at the end for
Yes.
plugs.
Yes.
We'll have time at the end for plugs.
We'll do plugs later.
All right. Around 2018, I took a break from modeling. I started doing drag and working at Roscoe's Tavern in North Halstead. I spent a lot of nights going out with friends and coworkers after work, and it was honestly a blast. But after the fun was over, those late night rides up Lakeshore Drive didn't just take me home. They started to feel like something else entirely, like a time-traveling expedition. The breeze through the open windows, scent of the lake, street lights flickering across my face as the city blurred past. Somewhere along the way, those little seeds planted over the years began pushing upward again, and they were ready to sprout. I remembered playing dress up with other little girls in preschool, putting a skirt on my head to mimic long flowing hair. In first grade, I told my classmates my name was Krista, after the gorgeous babysitter I gender envied. And I also started to see the shape of my life more clearly, how I had fallen into the stereotype of the classic Southern boy, going to church every Sunday, playing all the sports, and making my mama proud. So many recollections and epiphanies started flooding in that by the time I got home, I would often be in tears without even fully understanding why. Eventually, I realized the inevitable. I am a woman.
So beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I would say two of the most important lessons that I have taken with me, self-love is, the most powerful thing that you can harness, because at the end of the day, you are stuck with yourself.
Yeah.
And if you can't love what you see in the mirror or within, then it's going to be a very, very rough go. And I'd also like to say that selfishness is not always a bad thing. I was told
Yes.
plenty of times in my life that my choices for living the way I'm living are selfish. And if that means that I have to be called selfish, be labeled as a selfish person for choosing to live truthfully and authentically, then so be it. It's it's got a negative connotation, but I don't think that it is always what people think it is.
I like the term self-driven instead of
Definitely.
selfish, because to be also, you're putting ish at the end of a word, so it doesn't mean you're being like fully about yourself
sure.
either,
Yeah,
right?
Sure,
yeah.
I like that.
Like you can
But
definitely double down on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But being driven by the fact that I love myself more than the person who's telling me I'm being selfish could ever picture or imagine for themselves
Yeah.
Totally.
is not my problem. Not to like make it so blunt, but
No,
at the end
I
of the
love
day,
it.
like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I'm driven by my love for myself and I want to do something about it that creates something that makes me feel more affirmed, why the hell would I not? So
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And something that you shared about, just the importance of your chosen family, while you were going through this period in your life, I think especially coming from a Latino culture, we're very much raised that it's like your blood family is your blood family and you have to stick through with them. And no matter how problematic or how good or bad they are, like you have to love them. And I think, for me, that was like one huge reason why I was so scared to embrace myself is because I just knew that like being my true self would cause me to sever ties with, my family, which would make me a selfish person, which would, mean I'm not being the good Latino son that I'm supposed to be.
Right.
But it's like, I feel that in so many ways, the love that I have come to experience from my chosen family over the past few years, I mean, it's a love that I didn't know that I could experience, on the level. So when you were speaking about your chosen family, that resonated with me so much.
Yeah. And that's the thing that I think a lot of us have had that fear, or at least like with our coming out, the fear of losing people in our life. And unfortunately, I have lost a lot of people in my life for just being who I am. And as hurtful as that is, I have been able to mourn those relationships and replace them with people that want to be in my life, that love me fully in the way that
you deserve to be loved.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly right. All right. Well, last but certainly not least, Paige.
So yeah, one of the lessons that I feel like I've really learned is that being queer and identifying as either gay, lesbian, bisexual, somewhere on the LGBTQ orientation is not the same as being queer. So there is a big difference in being a person who can exist outside of the norms And I feel like a lot of times we perpetuate the same issues that straight communities have against us within our own communities. And so I think it's really important, whether you identify as gay, lesbian, bisexual, trans, however you identify, it's really important that you do the work to know about intersectionality within the communities. And knowing so much more about how we can interact with each other and actually lift each other up rather than have to tear each other down, I think is so, so important. I think there's a lot of competition between gay and lesbian folks, and then especially like we were talking about earlier, that bi folks have this like choose so we can claim you sort of energy. And it's really important that we try to step away from that and allow people to explore. I actually have a quote, if it's okay, that I looked up really
I was gonna
quick,
say
from Bell Hooks, which we love Bell Hooks. If you haven't read All About Love, it is required reading, I think, for self-love. That was a big lesson too.
Such impactful.
But she said, queer not as being about who you're having sex with, that can be a dimension of it, but queer as being about the self that is at odds with everything around it and has to invent and create and find a place to speak and thrive and to live. And I think that so strongly identifies with how I have learned to become queer, because like we were talking about earlier, you were saying, Adrian, watching people explore their queerness and explore their identity, it's okay to be playful. It's okay to like change your mind or like change. It's not about that you have a different identity. It's that you're exploring more of what your identity encompasses. And I think that's why queer is so
be messy.
big and beautiful. Yes, be messy about it, because the more you can explore that, the more you can find out who you authentically are. And then I would say, my second lesson is I'm a trans-affirming hairdresser, and so I'm changing my lesson. But my second lesson as a queer hairdresser is really try to find ways that can help you embrace who you feel authentically on the outside. And that doesn't mean you have to like go and pay tons of money to go and be affirmed by somebody else. Just like playing around with things in your wardrobe or playing around with things, again, going back to like the queer spectrum, be playful, have fun with yourself, know that you're allowed to like explore those sorts of things. You're allowed to be able to be whoever you want to be, but you have to make sure that it feels good to you. So just be a little bit more playful with yourself. It's okay to, try something and not like it. I also will just say like hair grows, cut that baby bang. If you want the baby bang, if you want the mullet, get the mullet. It will grow back. Be bold with who you are. It's fun to play around. It's fun to exist in a space where you get to try different things. So,
Yeah. And I mean, I loved that because, I think especially for me when I like came out and I was trying to really play around with just who I was as a person, I had a huge reckoning with, do I actually like this? Or was I taught growing up to like this?
Yep.
Like I remember I had never painted my nails before. And I was like, but what if that was red?
There's so much like learning and unlearning. I think,
exactly.
in figuring out your identity. And I think a lot of culture now like wants us to be afraid of whether it be cancel culture or anything else, but they want us to be afraid to be wrong, and they want us to stand like 10 toes down on things that are really, it's really okay to be like, oh, I didn't know that, and now I know better, and it's okay. When you know better, you do better. The problem is when you know better and you're fighting for something that you know you're wrong about, it's okay to like make a mistake and move forward and be embraced by the community. I think that's also a part of queerness that needs to be opened up a little bit more, because we need to let each other make mistakes.
I think you bring up a really important point. I think that introspection, which is something that we should hopefully all be working toward. It's the antithesis to projection.
Yes.
I think that is super important, So I love what you said about just like affirming yourself on the outside. It's just as important as affirming yourself on the inside. Very much.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know anything about that.
What do you mean?
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. But like I am kind of learning to embrace that more playful part of myself more.
sure.
Like I think, when I started, getting to hang out with you more was around the time where I was starting to embrace that part a little bit more. I mean, like think my first ever Pride I ever went to was with you.
Probably.
Yeah, it was Milwaukee Pride several years ago.
Oh yeah, that
yes.
was great. That was a great time. Milwaukee Pride is fabulous. If you haven't
I
been,
hear
it's a
good
great
things.
time.
So
I hear
good.
good things.
Yeah.
I am now remembering I came out to you before I even came out to my older brother.
You did, yes. I remember we were in a pool.
Yeah. No, I think we were in a sauna.
We were in the
We were in a
sauna.
sauna. And I'm just like, Paige, can I tell you something? I don't know what came over me in that moment, but it's like, yeah, you just always made me feel very much at ease, you know,
Thank you.
with, you know, just living my truth and speaking
I
my
think
truth.
I was kind of out by then. Again, I
Yeah,
don't really have
yeah.
a full coming out story because
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
started to embrace it. And then I was like, oh yeah, I guess I really did think Megara and Hercules was really hot. And like
but
I had
who
a lot
didn't
of
think
those.
that?
Right.
Like-
Yeah.
Right. But like
Gay,
so
straight.
many, so many things as a young person that I think I really didn't recognize the idea of like, do I want to be her? Or do I want to be with her was like not something I could think of. But anytime that like boys or men were put in front of me, that was so much of what I was socialized to want or believe. And now
Yeah.
I feel like I can look at that and be like, I don't even think some of those men are attractive anymore, but they were like fed to me in that way. But I'm like, but the woman in that movie, she looks good. Like, it's just funny. Like I can have such a different perspective on things now
Yeah,
that
yeah.
I did. And I just had no idea. So
I felt the same way
Yeah.
of you see a woman and am I attracted to this woman or do I want to be this woman?
Right.
Like, and that can be very hard to distinguish if you don't have the tools or, you know, exposure to the community or vocabulary even.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, thanks everybody for sharing their stories. I have a couple questions, and Adrian, if you have questions as well,
We'll see
feel
if we
free.
have the same questions in mind. But
Because there's one question I had earlier, but I was like, no, I want everyone to go first before I share this
Okay,
question.
okay.
Because I think, you know, for all of us, as a result of our upbringing, as a result of our culture, there has been some experience with religiosity and how that intersects with just our respective paths that we've been on. I'm curious to know, you know, what is all y'all's relationship with religion now or spirituality? You know, we can. I can start. You know, myself if that makes it easier. You know, for me, I remember after I, you know, left the church at 18 and I came out, I was very cynical for a long time with just religion as a whole. I was just a very cynical person. And it actually wasn't until I went to a Buddhist temple for the first time that I learned that it's like, oh, you can have religion in your life without anyone caring who you love. And that
Really?
rocked my world. Like that completely, like I remember the entire drive home, I was like, I just couldn't help but think, imagine how different my relationship with religion would have been if this is what I grew up in.
Yeah.
And so while I don't necessarily subscribe as a member of, you know, the Catholic Church, I do consider myself still a spiritual person. And I think a lot of that is owed in part to that experience that I had, and that it encouraged me to open myself up again to just spirituality and how I can have a relationship with being spiritual and not have it be tied to who I love. Adrian, I don't know if you have something of your own that you want to share.
yeah,
in that
no,
regard.
I mean, it's kind of going back to what our mom said to me after coming out, and that, you know, God loves everybody. You know, God doesn't make mistakes, and so I still believe in a God, but I believe in a God that loves everybody, doesn't discriminate, doesn't judge, just loves everybody. Which, you know, to my understanding, is what, you know, Christianity and being a Catholic is supposed to be. You know, and so I still have a relationship in that way. I'm still trying to define what that looks like more so.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I'd say like I still believe. You know, and I also have to add, like, it really is something to see so many churches now have the pride flag beside them.
Yeah.
Which I never thought would be the case when I first came out, and so to see that now, like if somebody who's in a similar spot as I was when I was at that age you can have a better experience than I did, then it's totally worth it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Zia, we'll pass it over to you.
Well, yeah, I was raised United Methodist. I was at church all the time. I was in a gospel choir. I was in a youth band. Like I was in it. And I was very bad about just going with the status quo of everything. Like I just was everything you wanted me to be. Like I will be that. And I think religion fell or like I fell under that with religion too.
Yeah.
Now I would say I'm spiritual as well. I believe in interconnectedness of all beings, and that is kind of where I'm at now. You know, like I love crystals.
Yes.
Love shiny
Yes.
things.
Literally. And I love glitter. So
Yeah.
There you go.
adds up.
So I would say, I'm pretty just spiritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I think for me, I have committed to living whatever spiritual life I believe in, whatever higher power I believe in. I'm committed to worshiping outside of a confined space like a church.
Yeah.
I'm committed to loving as many people as I possibly can through my actions. And if anything, I've doubled down on my commitment to be Catholic, but just outside of church, Catholic lowercase c. And in, embodying that universality that the church is supposed to be. And this is my camera.
Yes.
God is a woman. Like, I mean, I just think that there is something so divine in the feminine. And exhibit A right here.
Right.
Like,
Right.
There's just something so divine and so majestic that men just can't even hold a candle to.
Nope.
Yeah, that's where my mind is at spiritually.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm very anti-organized religion. I'm not like actively out here being like, burn the churches down, nothing like that. But like, I genuinely think that organized religion
Can we clip that?
and make sure you get it just as it was. But I think the organized religion really breeds so much of like what we now see in like toxic masculinity, and so much homophobia comes from within it. But also so much of what we see, we're moving to be like a Christian nationalist nation because of organized religion and the way it pushes people in those sorts of ways. So I'm a person who, I have a very unique relationship with like the creator. I also am a big believer that all living things are interconnected. The planet is God, or like what we are doing in our movements and how we take care of each other is God. That's how like God, like my version of God shows up for me, is when I see loving acts of other people, when I see people showing and acting as Jesus did, is a lot of what I talk about with my parents who are still religious. I'm big on, I don't need to go to church every Sunday and Wednesday anymore, because my relationship with God is in love. It's not in a place where like there's any hate or misgivings. There's just all love there. And I want all people to be connected and feel that. But I'm also a tarot reader and an astrologer. And so I have a very deep spiritual connection. I think when I talk about clocking in or like clicking into my intuition, I'm just clicking into the interconnectedness of everything. That's what I believe that is. So I guess that's my version of spirituality and religion. But I find it can be such a thing that brings people together, but it has to be through love. If there's any sort of hate behind it, it's not working towards the right means.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. I have one more question, but I think it might serve better as the ending question.
Oh,
so.
I had ending one too.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'll say my question then, so that way you can have.
Then we'll let the editing decide.
Yeah, we'll let the editing decide. You can have the ending question. But my question I was going to ask to y'all, and this can be to younger you. This can be to a kid who's trying to figure themselves out. With all the knowledge of where your journey has taken you, what is something that you would tell either younger you or a younger kid who's trying to figure themselves out? And I can start, so y'all have time to
Like, oh my gosh.
to think on that. What I would tell younger me, I'll choose me for this, is I know that you're scared, but you're going to be so loved. You're going to be so loved. And if you knew how much love was waiting for you on the other side of fear, you would take the leap. You would do it. Because I know right now what's holding you back is, are people going to love me for me, or have they just been loving me for the version of me that's trying to make everyone happy?
Yeah.
And if you knew how much love was waiting on the other side for who you are as yourself, I think knowing that you'll be okay will make all the difference.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, I can go next.
Yeah.
I mean, I share a lot of what you said, Andrew, but I would also add that at the same time, like, it's your coming out journey. Don't let anyone rush into thinking it has to be at a certain time. Just when you feel ready, and you'll know when it's time. Do it your way, on your own speed, whoever you want to tell first. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise, that it has to be in any other way. And that, yes, you will find the people who accept you for who you are. And if those people don't accept you for who you are, then maybe they're just not meant to be in your life anymore. And that's okay too. But that's what I would add.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just bouncing off that, I think it's really just like, it's going to be okay. Like, you're going to be okay. It will, like, especially looking at the world the way it is right now, like talking to a young queer person today, because I could say a lot of things to little me, like, go see a doctor. But I but I think for a young queer person today, I would say it sounds really scary, but we have seen scary things before. Find your people, like, find those who will love you for who you are, because they are out there, but like, it will be okay. Just learn more and like find joy, because that's resistance too. Like, there's so many ways to push back against the powers that want to make you shrink. And like, the more you can shine instead of shrink, the better life is going to be for the people around you too, not just yourself. So that's what I would say.
Preach. All right, we'll bring it over to Pedro.
Yeah. Don't worry about becoming, just be.
Yeah.
I think is so oftentimes we put this pressure on ourselves to, step our pussy up or, transcend into the next best version of ourselves. And we can't do that if we don't appreciate where we are, who we are. I think it's just, it's another way of saying, you are enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of in the same vein, you are worthy of love as you are, full stop. I think a lot of us struggle with that, especially as children, when we have this realization that we don't know what to do with, and it feels so isolating. It's like you are not alone. You are not as alone as you think you are.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
No.
Amen.
Well put.
Yeah.
Well put.
All right, Adrian.
And then my question, since this will be out during Pride Month, I want everyone to go around and share what Pride Month means for them. Because of course, in the midst of a landscape where we have a lot of people saying, oh, we don't need a Pride Month, or, the continuing dialogue that exists around stuff like that, like why it continues to mean a lot to you and what it means to you.
So what does Pride Month mean to you, Adrian?
I mean, for me, it means a few things, but more than anything, it's just a reminder that I would say more than anything, just being who you are is okay. Being who you are is normal. being who you are is to be celebrated and loved. And just to see how many more, even like smaller towns here in Illinois are now having their own pride parades and having their own pride celebrations. Even our town that we grew up in now having pride celebrations.
Yeah.
Like, just to let people know that, like, it's okay. You are loved, be who you are. And I think all those things are the reason, or the things that Pride Month means for me.
Yeah. I can go next.
Yeah.
For me, Pride Month is not only a celebration of just all the wonderful folks that exist in our community, but I think for me, it's also a recognition of the revolutions that brought us to this point, Because I one of the most common critiques is like, oh, why do people have to make such a big deal out of this? We only got here because people made a big deal.
Right.
Like we owe so much of where we are today to people who weren't afraid to make a big deal and people who weren't afraid to really speak up for themselves and make space for themselves. And so, for me, it's a dual thing. It's a celebration of who we are and everyone that exists in our community, but it's also, recognition of how we've gotten to this point and the work that we still have to do.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. Period.
All right. Pass it over to
Honestly,
you.
I feel very much the same. Like it is a time of joy and community and maybe a time of exploration for some people.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's an act of defiance in the face of all of the horrible things in the world that tell us that we are less than or unworthy, and to keep that lightheartedness, but also at the same time paying respect to those who came before us
Absolutely.
and paved the way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think remembering is such an important part of Pride Month too. Like people are, if we don't, like it's quoted over and over again, but if we don't learn history, we're doomed to repeat it. And we're actively watching that happen to this day. So I think just looking around and seeing what an example we can set for ourselves and how we can push back against things that have been pushed against us before is really important. And I love how much I learn during Pride Month from other queer folks. I love on a personal level, but also on a historical level. Gosh, like I find it's the time I'm the most online because I'm watching queer stories. I'm hearing things that whether I hear it for the first time or the 100th time, I'm sat and I'm listening and I'm interested because I think queer folks have such stories to tell. I think we all sat here and said, wow, we have such similarities, but yet everyone told such a different story of who they are and how they grew up and what they know. And that's what makes us such a beautiful community, is that everybody is so unique and special and able to define themselves exactly who they are because they want to learn and know themselves and know each other. So I think Pride Month is so representative of that. And also I love looking out for pink, just to make a funny note, but pink washing. I think it's so fun to watch people be like, and today's the day we're going to add our rainbow logo. And then my birthday is actually July 1st. And so I have
The day Pride died.
Yes. I have a ritual every year of finding all the Pride Month is over now, memes and posting them on my story that day. Because I just find it so funny. But it's so true. You watch these brands do that. So important to keep an eye out for that, while also recognizing the brands that come up and actually tell those stories and want to uplift queer folks. So
and see whoever tells them beyond just Pride Month as
exactly. Watch for July 1st and wish me happy birthday.
Yes.
All right, Pedro?
I think for me, as someone that works in entertainment, first and foremost, Pride is a marathon, not a sprint.
Yes.
It's just so easy to get caught up in, all the celebrations. And then by July 1st, I'm just reduced to a blob version of myself. So that's definitely first. And then, gosh, what was the other thing I was going to say? I mean, Pride Month for me is a stepping stone. And just because you can't limit your celebrations of yourselves to the course of 1 month. It needs to be every day of the year, quite honestly. And, remembering the folks that got us to Pride Month, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rivera, like two very important individuals who, quite frankly, like I don't hear about enough, and that I need to play a more active role in, saying their names more and learning more about their history, because those individuals come from two populations that are still marginalized even today. So how can I make my society a place that's better for them if they were still around today?
And giving the people who are doing that work now the flowers
Absolutely.
they deserve while they're still here too.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
And by doing so, not just limiting myself to Pride events in North Halstead, Boys Town, like going to Southside Pride, going to Black Pride. I think those are two very important spaces that need more of our support, especially fiscally, because they need, they're doing the work with the populations that, quite frankly, are being ignored by mainstream gay culture.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of folks also don't know there's also LGBTQ plus History Month in October as well.
Yeah.
Which we share with like half of like Hispanic Heritage Month.
literally.
Then there's that. Yes.
But yeah, it really is, about just like getting to know more folks in the community and like you said, giving folks their flowers now, but also just continuing to know more folks in the community. Yeah. And speaking of knowing more folks in the community, where can all the people that watch or listen follow y'all? We can start with you, Paige.
Sure.
Feel free to plug anything that you'd like.
I'm basically only on Instagram, but you can find me on Instagram, Paige Color Cut. That's my hair profile, but it's also my personal profile, so you can find a lot of stuff on there. I love connecting people with resources there, so feel free to send me a DM.
Okay. There you go.
Fantastic.
You already know us.
You can find me on Instagram at Zia with 3 A's. My book, Love Your Trans Big Sister, Advice on the Trans Feminine Journey, is out tomorrow, which is May 12th.
Congratulations.
Okay.
so
My
much.
gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, okay, it'll be out by the time this comes out, so we will include all that
in the show notes below.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh my God, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
That's great.
Wow.
Thank you.
That timing. Okay. We love it. All
And
right.
then you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and on SoundCloud, Pedrito Cacheton, which will be, I'm guessing, in the comments below.
It'll be in the
Find me
comments.
in the
Yep.
comments below for the spelling.
Yes.
There you go.
Yes, we will add the links for all these lovely folks in the show notes below, and be sure to give these folks a great follow and catch up with what they're all doing. But thank you all so much again.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you for having us.
Yeah. Paige, Zia, Pedro, Raj, we see you too.
Yes.
Yeah. Happy Pride to all y'all. Thank y'all so much for being a part of this. We truly, truly appreciate you guys sharing space with us, sharing your stories. I know it's not an easy thing to do, to open up about, your journeys. So we really appreciate it. And thanks again for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy Pride.
Yeah.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride.
Thanks so much for tuning into today's episode of Twin Spin. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. It takes 10 seconds and helps us make more episodes for y'all. And if you caught the episode, be sure to tag us on Instagram at Twin Spin Podcast and let us know what you thought. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.